As Thoth revealed to me in 1999, in the stone structure of the Temple of the Risen One, that is the Great Pyramid of Giza, are meridians which carry rays or impulses of consciousness. These meridians we will call star paths, for the ancients called them the shadow halls of the stars. They knew from even more distant legend that the Star Lords had placed the long shadows of the cosmic beings, stars, across the Temple of the Risen One. These shadows had opened halls or paths in the stone for the soul to travel. The star paths, then, are consciousness streams programmed by superintelligence into the stone of the Great Pyramid. They are not the air shafts which serve other purposes, but invisible highways of light intelligence crisscrossing deep within the stone. And of course, I have in the text air in quotes because those aren't air shafts. Now, it's important for me to pause for just a moment and say that in all of this article, it is not inferring that the Great Pyramid of Giza is the creator of the universe. It is speaking about a high cosmic state dynamic of the universe that is a creator zone and a dynamic of that zone that has been programmed into the Great Pyramid in a specific level of receipt. It is also important to realize that the Great Pyramid, even in the decayed state it is now, it looks like a ruin, is not a ruin. And yes, it was far more powerful, more active when it was complete, but there are all kinds of components that have not been damaged that abide in this pyramid and in the other pyramids connected to it on the Giza Plateau. Then there is also the Temple of the Morning Star, that's what Thoth refers to it as. That is the higher etheric level of the Temple of the Risen One. And that is in the greater ethers. Yet it is still very real, it's just on a higher dimension and connected directly to the mechanism of the Temple of the Risen One. So this keeps the whole system in line and online, even though some components are not as viable as they used to be, and some have been specifically sealed away for this time. We continue with explorations on this topic with Thoth from around 2005. These star shadows contain the programs of light for the entire universe. This may sound incredible, but it is much less so than we would imagine. Thoth shows me that all of this universe, and of course there are other universes, come out of one stroke of the Arhabra. The Arhabra is an ancient word for a creation radial of light with a supra-black hole at its center, around which is a double tetrahedron of a specific type of energy that is, well, not really energy as we know it. I won't expand on that topic here, but suffice to say that this non-energy energy is called by Thoth Kamiti. There are many kinds of black holes. A supra-black hole is also Kamiti, which is like a reverse mirror of our energy system, and yet is our energy system. We simply cannot experience it directly. We can see the top of a duck floating in the water, but not the part of it that is submerged. As the Kamiti energy in the geometric of a double tetrahedron reacts with the supra-black hole, it becomes a flashing double diamond spinner field, a tetratrion. Visualize a diamond, a double tetrahedron, spinning around a center of tremendous gravity. A suprahole does not suck energy in, as it is not in space. The gravity it exerts is not what we understand as gravity, but it is related. The supragravity does not operate in space. It creates space. So as you see, there are problems in relating this dynamic in human terms. Nevertheless, as you see this diamond spinning around a force that is being exerted on it, the diamond is affecting the force. This causes the spinner field of the double tetrahedron to spin faster and faster until it starts flashing in and out of its source dimension, becoming a tetratrion. Not all tetratrions create universal radials. Why some do and some don't is not an area we're going to explore here. But the ones that do are universe creators. Just one stroke or strobe coming out of the flashing center creates a universe. So in this context, let us return to the star shadows captured within the Great Pyramid. The programs of light they contain are from just one flash of the universe-creating radio. When the masters tell us all is one, this is a good example of what they mean. Every particle of starlight that is within the matter of our universe, in our bodies and DNA and everything, contains the master stroke as a holographic vibration. The star shadows, however, are more than a holograph of the master stroke. They are the living fire of that stroke. They are only shadows in their path between dimensions, the paths which are opened within the Great Pyramid in its full operative mode, the Temple of the Risen One, and within the Great Pyramid's etheric body, which Thoth calls the Temple of the Morning Star. Yet the Temple of the Risen One and the Temple of the Morning Star are only aspects, the former in stone, the latter an etheric substance, of a greater cosmic pyramid. This cosmic pyramid we could see as the masterstroke from the universe, creating radials as it moves away from the supra-black hole flashing diamond combo. As a beam of light traveling from its source, the beam becomes wider when it strikes an object. When the masterstroke strikes its own creation, its shape and function becomes another tetrahedron or pyramid. Now, all these analogies are using our dimensional terms and understanding. What I am speaking of is really beyond all such dimensional understanding. However, it does create that picture in this dimension, and it is a workable picture as creational matrices are accommodating to their creations. So now we are envisioning a pyramid of the tail end of the master stroke, coming out of the universal creation radial and striking its own creation. This universe, this planet, these bodies our soul temporarily inhabit. But what if this pyramid we are envisioning is really a capstone to a larger pyramid? A capstone is a pyramid that contains the information to allow the pyramid it caps to make contact with other universal systems in the chain of cosmology it arises from and reflects into the infinite. What then is this Star Capstone pyramid crowning? Thoth opens the scroll for me to see the greater pyramid. It is us. It is everything that the master stroke strikes. It is all of the creation in this universe. Let us focus at this juncture on the topic of this presentation, which is the Star Capstone. The Star Capstone crowns everything in our universe. However, we can look to the Great Pyramid as a primary gear of the Star Capstone in our Earth grid system. This opens the door to seeing the planetary grid systems in a more expanded perception. Thoth unfolds the cornice of the capstone to reveal to me star shadows spilling off the contact surface between the master stroke and its creation, moving out of the star capstone like straws of light being drawn into alignment with the gravity patterns of the earth. Scattered on the plane of the earth, the star shadows embed into the gravity patterns and form grids which are patterned according to both planetary and human consciousness. Yet we are crowned, each of us, with the star capstone. They stream into our crowns and down into our chakras, spooling out into our energy bodies. If the star capstone is the master stroke, the creation of the universe, coming into contact with its own creation, us, then how might we expand our awareness and thus our consciousness with this understanding? This concludes what I wrote in the past from the transmissions of Thoth on this topic, but let us explore it just a little further here. As I am speaking to you now in February of 2024, we all know that the world is in a crisis state. That is on the external. On the internal, it is in a transformational state. Both exist at the same time. And it is up to us to acknowledge the crisis while turning to receive and activate the transformation. The whole treatise on the Star Capstone that Thoth has delivered to me in the past, which I'm sure is only a tiny part of the complete, brings us ever closer to understanding that we are the creation, but we are also the creators. You simply cannot separate the two. When you look at all of these sciences that Thoth has presented, but this particular one shows the direct influence, the direct synergy, the direct contact between the creator and the created, and that really they are only two different dimensional frequencies of the same thing. In this expanded knowing, how do we bring that down and translate it into real time, into our lives, into our experiences, individually and collectively? This is the crux we are on now, right now. And you don't have to have listened to this video to be in that position and in that awakening. People are awakening to this in a lot of different ways, that they are both the created and the creator. They might put it in other terms, they might look at it a little differently this way and that, but that is where we're all moving toward. That is what we are all moving toward, is that acknowledgement. And it is absolutely impossible to escape unless you simply cast yourself into the void, which unfortunately there are souls on this planet that are doing and will do. But for those of us whom Thoth calls light bearers, not perfected beings, not illumined masters, but light bearers, because we keep showing up, we keep coming back. It is our passion to become more and more enlightened, not only for ourselves, but for the whole universal continuum. That we recognize we are not only a part of, we are a part of creating. We are creators. And in this understanding, everything moves to a higher octave. And one can accept it on various levels in different ways of perceiving it. However, in this video, I'm offering you a particular level of receipt, of understanding, if you choose to experience it or, let's say, assimilate it. But even if you don't, you're going there It might be in different language, in different understanding, in different timing, but it's part of your being because you are both the creator and the created. So as we move toward this individually and collectively, in whatever language and way we choose to perceive it, it is part of our inheritance, our inherited being. And more than ever now, it is time for us to recognize it, not in some kind of, narcissistic way, where we are the tops of the top and everybody else is not. That's not true. And you know it, of course, and so do I. But even those who are turning away from it, they have it in their being. They're simply denying it and turning away. So you can't look at them and say, oh, well, I'm superior to them because I know it and they don't. That's not the way it works. We're all part of the same streaming. But we have to let each individual find their own way to that door. We can point it out. We can send them radiant love and light. We can offer them help in understanding things. But if they turn away, we must turn toward the light and keep going. And this is our dedication now, in this time, more than ever. I conclude this video with the following. Know that you are loved by a greater love than you can imagine. You can look for it in various religious figures, and you will find it in your heart, or you can look for it elsewhere, in the tiniest grain of sand, in your pussycat like I do, or in many ways. But that love is universal. It comes out of the heart of what we prefer to call God often. Some people don't prefer to call it that. You can call it the universal source. You can call it absolutely nothing. In fact, the Lemurians called it the sacred nothing. But it's there, and that love is pervading everything in your heart that is seeking balance and sustenance and connectivity to the all. So when you reach for that, you will find it. And there are beings of light, star kindred, inner earth kindred, angelics, on, who translate the sacred nothing into something that is palatable to our human awareness and consciousness. And it goes deep into the streaming of our whole historical being, all the symbols of love and light, all the symbols of knowledge and wisdom, all of these things, they are part of a language that is spoken to us from on high. And yet, we are moving beyond all of that. Not at the moment, it's still necessary. But know that when we are totally received into that envelope of light, we can still utilize these things, but they don't become the intrinsic necessity that they are now. They will only be sort of in orbit around the true focus that we receive from the God source. At this point in time, we're searching for information. Some of it turns out not to be very good. Other parts of that information is very valuable. But it's all information. I'm giving you information right now. And this is good. It's time to be discerning, to find what information works for you, what you feel resonant with, and what you don't. Because there are all kinds of artificial disguises now that can deter you from that truth. So we're going through a path of needing to abide with the deepest heart-centered gnosis when we listen, read, absorb information. What do we need out of it? What do we not need? What is true? What is false? This is a test right now for us, and it is a necessary test, because once we move through this and we find ourselves in that truth and able to discern it quickly and easily, then we will no longer need the information. It will come directly into our heart centers and into the heart, the mind of the heart, translated into the head of the heart. So the whole being is going to start receiving truth directly, and there will be no need for disseminating information. We can disseminate feelings and thoughts of wisdom in our own interpretations, but that's simply indicating who we are and how we communicate our love, experience, and knowledge to another. It won't be the defining factor of how we receive it. We will receive it individually, which becomes a collective prayer of being. Beneath the pyramids of Giza, the Great Pyramid in particular, but really much of the whole plateau, there are chambers and portals to other dimensions. Under the Great Pyramid, under the Temple of the Risen One, which is really an extension of that temple underground, one of the places is a chamber that contains a sacred pool. In the ancient days, certain initiates were allowed to bathe in this pool. It was very healing, but it was more than that. It allowed an individual to move into higher states of consciousness. In that area, there is a way to move past it into other dimensions. And so these images which I've created here give you examples of that feeling, what it's like to be a part of the actual risen one and move into those states of consciousness through this experience of the Temple of the Risen One.